Lakewood Board of Adjustment regular meeting. I convene this meeting at 7:02 p.m. Secretary Schultz, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Bartlett,
Here.
Board Member Cohn,
Here.
Board Member Heel,
Here.
Board Member Kentner,
Here.
Board Member Miller, Board Member Peters,
Here.
Board Member Stone.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Secretary Schultz. Before we proceed to item 3, I would like to ask the attorney for the Board of Adjustment, Bill Tuthill, to give us an update on the latest progress in the mediation discussions.
I'm happy to do so, Mr. Chairman. The latest is that until about 15 minutes ago, I was on what I have considered the 4th version of the mediation. In this case, the mediator would say it's the 5th because of the pre-mediation discussions.
Mm-hmm.
And the participants have included active participation by Director Travis Parker, the planning director, and his attorney, and the attorney for the city, Pat Wilson, the attorneys and a representative for the developer Crescent Communities, the attorney and at least 2 homeowner representatives, including, I think, their president of the Homeowners Association for Wildflower HOA. And they have made tremendous progress. They are gearing toward holding a presenting to City Council a proposed settlement approach at the City Council's meeting on September 28th. They are hopefully going to circulate among themselves a written version of the, there have been a various set of iterations of what they've been called a term sheet. The current version is a little over 3 pages long. And they have, the parties have essentially found common ground that they can agree upon on all of what you would consider the major issues related to the proposed redevelopment of White Fence Farms. There are a few issues still hanging out there. There are some timing issues in terms of what to do with a variety of those issues. And there is a sense that this matter will come to a place that most people can find acceptable. They do have some issues that involve the Board of Adjustment, primarily the litigation, and not other issues that are likely to be in front of you for your deliberative process. And I feel it might be beneficial to have an executive session this evening, Mr. Chairman, to talk about what your legal options are, to provide my recommendations to the extent you are interested in hearing them, about how you might proceed moving forward. But that's the update. We have had either 4 or 5, depending on how you count them, discussions, the most recent of which ended at about 6:45 this evening. And I think all parties would tell you that they are in a position of feeling good about the direction that this is headed. And there's also a recommendation from all of them as to what advice I should give you. I will take that recommendation into account. And I will let you know if you have an executive session, what those recommendations are and how I feel about it. So that's my update, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tuthill. I'd like to let the record reflect that Board Member Miller did join us just at the time that Mr. Tuthill began his report. So
Thank you.
that's good news. Welcome, Dale.
Thank you. I missed roll call.
Oh, that
I missed
I
roll
think.
call, but I did.
Well, that's why I wanted to read it into the record that you did join us, and that it was, I believe, 7:04, right after we, convened the meeting. So, welcome.
Thank you.
At this point, on the heels of Mr. Tuthill's comments, I'd like to go ahead and move to item number 3. Secretary Schultz, will you read that item for the record?
Item 3, request for executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6402 parentheses 4B for the purpose of conferring with an attorney to receive legal advice.
Thank you. So at this point, I will open the floor for a motion to convene an executive session. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Sure.
Very
To convene an executive session pursuant to Colorado Rules 24-6-402 4B for the purpose of conferring with an attorney to receive legal advice.
Mr. Miller, if I can ask you to clarify that we need to be fairly specific as to what the topic is. The topic in this case relates to the White Fence Farms redevelopment and the subsequent litigation that has ensued. And that would be the context in which the legal advice would be sought and rendered.
So I would like to add that to my motion, and it's for seeking legal advice regarding the White Fence Farm development and subsequent litigation.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Very good. So we have a motion by Board Member Miller, and was that a second by Board Member Peters?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Any discussion? I see a hand. Teresa.
I just want to take a moment outside of executive session to express my appreciation to Mr. Tuthill for being there for us and representing, being our ear and our voice. And also this evening, I appreciate the way you express the parties that it was that they feel good. That's huge. So, I mean, that's very significant that's the way they feel. So I thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. And please pass along our thanks to the mediators and those who were involved.
I will.
Very good. Thank you. I see a thumbs up from Dale. That's that's great. You know how to use those reaction buttons, and I would agree with that verbally. Any additional comments before we call for a roll call vote to go into executive session? I don't see any raised hands. So Secretary Schultz, will you do the roll call vote on this motion, please?
Board Member Bartlett,
Aye.
Board Member Cohn,
Aye.
Board Member Heald,
Aye.
Board Member Kentner,
Aye.
Board Member Miller,
Aye.
Board Member Peters,
Aye.
Board Member Stone.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Schultz. So at this point in time, we will join the breakout room, and we will have our executive session, and then we will reconvene and continue this meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Tim, I think he just left.
He
What?
stepped up. I just want to see if Jonathan will text me when you're coming back to
Will do.
the session, because I won't be joining you.
Right. Okay, will do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Couple minutes to get another drink. It's actually Board of Adjustment.
So Alan, when everyone's back and you're ready to go, just say, okay, let's go ahead, and then I'll stop sharing my screen and bring everyone back.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, and thank you for your quick work in getting Tut Hill plugged in to the.
Thank you.
Sure thing. No problem.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a curveball for me, but we figured
Big
it
for
out.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you for handling the technical details.
Sure thing.
Appreciate it.
I said, for whatever reason, my internet service is down, Mr. Chairman, and my wife had the same experience earlier today, and we do a lot of Zoom meetings, so it's a little surprising, but
Okay, we have everybody except Dale at this point. So we're missing Teresa and Dale, right?
No, I'm here.
You see me?
Are you? Okay, I just don't see everybody for some reason.
Oh, I'm.
Oh, there we go.
well, I'm sure you don't see me, Alan. This is Bill Tuthill.
Yeah, we just get your green phone symbol. Glad you're here. All right, now we have everybody, it looks like. So with that, Jonathan, we are ready to reconvene.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, very good. So having concluded the executive session, Mr. Schultz, would you read item 4 on the agenda, please?
Item 4, discussion of the board's options with regard to the litigation against the board regarding the White Fence Farm redevelopment.
Very good, thank you. At this point, I will ask if there is a motion with regard to next steps on the board's options.
I'd like to make a motion to continue this to a date certain. Let me pick a date and then we can modify it if we have to, of October 7th.
Do we have a second? I will second. We had Dale second. Board Member Miller seconds. Very good. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
And this is, I think, Mr. Rice, where we were wondering about your schedule.
Yeah, I think exactly at this point, we'd like to get input from staff regarding that date. Mr. Rice, would that be a workable date?
October 7th is clear on the calendar, so yes. And there are no other scheduled board or PC items, so we could, if you want to continue with rules and regulations, we could do that after the meeting as well.
That's very good. I think we may be going there when we get into the Planning Commission study session. So thank you for making it clear that that would work for staff as well. So we have a motion and a second, a date certain. Is there any discussion? Very well, then, Mr. Schultz, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Board Member Bartlett,
Aye.
Board Member Cohn,
Aye.
Board Member Heel,
Aye.
Board Member Kentner,
Aye.
Board Member Miller,
Aye.
Board Member Peters,
Aye.
Board Member Stone.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you, Secretary Schultz. So that concludes item number 4 with regard to litigation against the board and the action we've now taken. So Mr. Schultz, will you read item 5, please?
Item 5, approval of minutes of the June 24th, 2020 Board of Adjustment regular meeting.
Very good. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve? I like to do this in a formal fashion. I know sometimes we just do consensus, but I'll move that we approve the minutes from June 24th Board of Adjustment regular meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dale. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
We have one.
Dale, I see a hand up, Dale.
Thank you. I noted one thing that I think is probably just an editorial mistake, but in the vote on the motion, it lists all 7 board members as voting aye, but it in the text before that, I believe it says there's only 6 in favor of that.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think I read that and I forgot to make a note of it. So, Mr. Schultz, can we make that correction?
Yes, I will note that correction. I believe that may be a carryover in both sets of minutes as a correct, as a editorial error.
You already said that it was. Yeah, that's my only comment about them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dale. So any other comments on approving the motion as amended? Or approving the minutes as amended. That's what I meant to say. So I think we're ready for a roll call vote, Mr. Schultz.
Board Member Bartlett,
Aye.
Board Member Cohn,
Aye.
Board Member Heel,
Aye.
Board Member Kentner,
Aye.
Board Member Miller,
Aye.
Board Member Peters,
Aye.
Board Member Stone.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Schultz. So will you now read item 6 on the agenda into the record?
Item 6, approval of minutes of the July 22nd, 2020 Board of Adjustment regular meeting.
Very good. With this one, I would like to make a motion similar to what I did in a previous meeting, since these meeting minutes have a little bit more, or actually a great deal more substance. I think it's important to preserve them as I had spoken to in one of our previous meetings. So I make the motion that we approve the minutes of the July 22nd Board of Adjustment regular meeting with the condition that the electronic records of the meeting be permanently retained by the city clerk's office. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Very good. Second was by Board Member Kentner. So Mr. Schultz, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Board Member Bartlett,
Aye.
Board Member Cohn,
Aye.
Board Member Heald,
Aye.
Board Member Kentner,
Aye.
Board Member Miller,
Aye.
Board Member Peters,
Aye.
Board Member Stone.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you, Secretary Schultz. That concludes item 6. So we'll move on to item 7. Mr. Schultz, will you read that into the record?
Item 7, general business.
Very good. Are there any items of general business to bring before the board? I am seeing no hands, no activity. So I will close general business. And with that, at 9:20 p.m., the Board of Adjustment meeting is now concluded. Thank you. We are adjourned. And
Thank
from
you,
this
Mr.
point
Chairman.
forward, you're very welcome. From this point forward, our next order of business is to convene the Planning Commission study session. So let me change my paperwork and then I'll do that. So effective at 9:20 p.m., this meeting of the Lakewood Planning Session, it's a Planning Commission study session rather, is now in session at 9:21 p.m. First item on the study session is a comprehensive plan update. And for that, I will turn it over to staff to proceed. Is that Christy or?
Yeah, that's me. Hello.
I
Good
thought
to
that
see
would be
everyone.
presenting. I certainly appreciate the work that you guys did to get ready for this tonight. So please proceed.
Sure. So we prepared a presentation for City Council that will be going to the study session on Monday. And so I'm going to show that presentation right now, and then I'll be available for questions afterwards. So
Okay,
with that,
good.
I'll go ahead and share the presentation.
This is Roger Wadnell, Comprehensive Planning and Research Manager with the City of Lakewood. Following is a presentation for City Council study session on September 21st, 2020 for the Comprehensive Plan Annual Update. Christy Ivanoff, Planner with the City of Lakewood, will also be presenting. The Lakewood Comprehensive Plan is a long-range plan that looks 10 years into the future. It encompasses the range of issues in the city, including land use, parks and open space, recreation, economic vitality, neighborhoods, and city services, to list a few. The current comprehensive plan was adopted in 2015, and this is the 5th update of the comprehensive plan, so we are at the halfway point. This update will serve as a snapshot of the progress that has been made towards implementing the goals and action steps contained in the comprehensive plan. This presentation will include the purpose and organization of the comprehensive plan, the implementation methodology, and highlights and featured projects from 2019 and 2020. To begin, the following slides will provide a brief introduction of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a key policy document that helps guide decision-making in the city. It establishes a long-term vision for the city over a 10-year period. The current comprehensive plan was adopted in 2015 and includes specific goals and action steps, which will be discussed in detail during this presentation. It all begins with the vision statement. And here's the vision statement for the comprehensive plan that was written in 2015. In 2025, the city will be livable with a high quality of life, mobile with an integrated transportation system designed for pedestrians, bicycles, public transit, and automobiles equally, innovative with a diverse and resilient economic base of local businesses and national employers, and sustainable with a commitment to social equity, protecting the unique environment, and responsibly integrating sustainable practices into land use, built structures, transportation, and the local economy. From the vision, the plan is organized by 4 topics: Lakewood lives, Lakewood innovates, Lakewood moves, and Lakewood sustains. Each topic is developed around a guiding principle and is broken down into several relevant subject areas. For Lakewood lives, the guiding principle is Lakewood will be a safe, healthy, diverse, and vibrant community with strong and unique neighborhoods. Lives includes neighborhoods, housing, historic preservation, and parks and recreation, just to name a few. For Lakewood innovates, the guiding principle is Lakewood will invest in its future by proactively pursuing a thriving and sustainable economy with a variety of employment, investment, and mixed-use opportunities. Some of the chapter subjects are listed below on the slide. For Lakewood moves, the guiding principle is Lakewood will support connectivity through a variety of transportation options and inspire residents to utilize multiple transportation modes. And some of those options are listed below on the slide. The guiding principle for Lakewood sustains is Lakewood will be a leader in sustainability principles, practices, and education. And again, the chapter subjects are listed at the bottom of the slide. I'll now turn it over to Christy Ivanov to talk about the implementation structure of the comprehensive plan.
The implementation structure includes 4 elements that move from general to specific: vision statement, guiding principle, goals, and action steps. Goals are recommendations
Anyone
that
else's slides not moving forward?
identified steps to be
Thank you, Dale. I'm in the same boat. I haven't seen anything but the title slide. Thank you for speaking up. I was trying to figure out how to chat and I couldn't get there fast.
There is
Yeah.
no chat. It's not available. Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
I
too,
just
and I
think-
know I watched it ahead of time, so I know there are other slides.
You guys can't see anything? Okay.
No, it's still on the first slide, Christy. I
It's on
just
the
sent you an
first
email.
Oh, okay. I can go back and see if that will help. Let me see.
I don't. Did you pull up the video?
Yeah, so we tried a couple different ways, and this seemed it's the MP4 that we have on the.
The range of
Server.
issues in the city, including land use,
Can you guys see a
annual
different slide
update.
now?
The Lakewood Comprehensive Plan is a
No.
long-range.
Not
Okay.
yet.
No, you can hear Roger actually advance to the next slide, but it's still on there. That
And-
whatever you did.
Now,
Okay, it's because of my 2 screens. Sorry.
Mhm.
Do you want me to start over?
I'd be fine with you continuing from here.
Yeah.
From here?
Do others want to start over?
That's fine.
I think
I
we're
think
good with
going-
that. Christy, thank you.
Yeah.
Go.
That looks 10 years into the future. It encompasses the range of issues in the city, including land use, parks and open space, recreation, economic vitality, neighborhoods, and city services, to list a few. The current comprehensive plan was adopted in 2015, and this is the 5th update of the comprehensive plan, so we are at the halfway point. This update will serve as a snapshot of the progress that has been made towards implementing the goals and action steps contained in the comprehensive plan. This presentation will
Just want to make sure that you guys can see the slide change. Yes? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we got it. Thank you.
include the
Okay.
purpose and organization of the comprehensive plan, the implementation methodology, and highlights and featured projects from 2019 and 2020. To begin, the following slides will provide a brief introduction of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a key policy document that helps guide decision-making in the city. It establishes a long-term vision for the city over a 10-year period. The current comprehensive plan was adopted in 2015 and includes specific goals and action steps, which will be discussed in detail during this presentation. It all begins with the vision statement. And here's the vision statement for the comprehensive plan that was written in 2015. In 2025, the city will be livable with a high quality of life, mobile with an integrated transportation system designed for pedestrians, bicycles, public transit, and automobiles equally, innovative with a diverse and resilient economic base of local businesses and national employers, and sustainable with a commitment to social equity, protecting the unique environment, and responsibly integrating sustainable practices into land use, built structures, transportation, and the local economy. From the vision, the plan is organized by 4 topics: Lakewood lives, Lakewood innovates, Lakewood moves, and Lakewood sustains. Each topic is developed around a guiding principle and is broken down into several relevant subject areas. For Lakewood lives, the guiding principle is Lakewood will be a safe, healthy, diverse, and vibrant community with strong and unique neighborhoods. Lives includes neighborhoods, housing, historic preservation, and parks, and recreation, just to name a few. For Lakewood innovates, the guiding principle is Lakewood will invest in its future by proactively pursuing a thriving and sustainable economy with a variety of employment, investment, and mixed-use opportunities. Some of the chapter subjects are listed below on the slide. For Lakewood moves, the guiding principle is Lakewood will support connectivity through a variety of transportation options and inspire residents to utilize multiple transportation modes. And some of these options are listed below on the slide. The guiding principle for Lakewood sustains is Lakewood will be a leader in sustainability principles, practices, and education. And again, the chapter subjects are listed at the bottom of the slide. I'll now turn it over to Christy Ivanov to talk about the implementation structure of the comprehensive plan.
The implementation structure includes 4 elements that move from general to specific: vision statement, guiding principle, goals, and action steps. Goals are recommendations that implement the vision, and action steps are identified steps to be taken to achieve the stated goal. This implementation structure applies to each of the 4 topics: lives, innovates, moves, and sustains. Their corresponding guiding principle and subtopics provide the foundation for the goals and action steps. This slide shows one example for Lakewood Lives, going from guiding principle to goal to action step. The comprehensive plan contains 404 action steps that are to be completed over the course of the lifespan of the plan. Each of the 404 action steps have been assigned a time frame for implementation: short-term, medium-term, long-term, ongoing, and annually. These timeframes are intended to be flexible and may be adjusted from time to time based on city policies and direction. There are 102 short-term action steps in the plan, and they are intended to take about 3 years to complete from plan adoption. One example: review and update the Lakewood Bicycle System Master Plan to ensure that the city continues to develop a safe and comprehensive bicycle network that serves both recreational and commuter needs. Medium-term action steps are intended to take about 4 to 6 years, and there are 109 of them. As an example, develop tools to encourage property owners to upgrade older office buildings to ensure that they meet the functional and technology needs of current and future tenants. And for long term, there are 13, and these are intended to take up to the full 10 years to complete. For example, identify missing pedestrian and bicycle facilities that link neighborhoods, recreation centers, and parks, and develop a prioritization list for implementation. The majority of the action steps are ongoing. There are 147 of these. They are iterative and continuous with no specific end date. The ongoing action steps include some of the most important work the city does towards implementing the vision. For example, through the site plan review process, ensure that adequate parks, open space, and gathering places are incorporated as new development occurs. And lastly, there are 33 annual action steps. These are implemented on an annual basis. For example, annually monitor Lakewood's business and retail environment to evaluate the variety and diversity of business types within the city, as well as a variety of business scales and sizes. This pie graph shows the breakdown of action steps by time frame. You can see that nearly half, 45% of the action steps are ongoing and annual. Every year, staff tracks the action steps. The following slides provide implementation updates for a few goals and action steps. To support small business, staff launched Lakewood Local to help Lakewood businesses with marketing and promotions during the COVID-19 pandemic. To address Lakewood's current affordable housing needs, funding has been awarded for rental assistance to prevent eviction and single-family housing rehab for low-income Lakewood homeowners. To promote the 235 miles of recreational trails, staff launched an interactive map called the Lakewood Trail Explorer in August of 2020.
Lost sound, Christy.
It's
think
lost
it-
on mine too. I don't understand what happened.
Yeah, it seemed to have just stopped.
Okay, maybe.
There we go.
Oh. Let me stop sharing my screen really quick, and I'm gonna try and reopen this. 804. All right, I don't know what happened, but I'm ready to share my screen again. In August of 2020.
Great, thank you.
Staff has also been tracking the impacts of the new enhanced development menu as part of the development review for projects over 20,000 square feet in size. The pie chart shows the implementation progress as of 2020. 100% represents completion of the 404 action steps. The dark purple illustrates the action steps that have been completed, are underway, or are completed on an ongoing or annual basis. The light purple illustrates the percentage of action steps that are still to be completed.
The comprehensive plan implementation progress also needs to be shown qualitatively. Numbers do not show the entire picture of all the work that's been done to implement the plan vision. The following slides showcase key projects for 2019-2020. These projects help implement multiple action steps, and they also demonstrate the creativity and innovation of staff and the city during the COVID-19 pandemic. The City of Lakewood has developed several programs and processes to support local businesses as they reopen from the COVID-19 stay-at-home orders. Temporary site plan modification is a streamlined process for restaurants wanting to make temporary site modifications under the guidelines for reopening to dine-in service. The temporary modifications have included adding tents and bringing tables and chairs outside. The Friendly Business Guide for Outdoor Expansion Tactics is a visual resource that provides site design ideas as part of the temporary site plan modification process. Lakewood Speaks and Lakewood Together are online tools that provide community members the opportunity to participate in meetings and projects virtually. These tools have become especially important during the current health crisis, when large gatherings have been restricted for public health. In terms of historic preservation, 2020 has been a busy year. Staff and the Historic Preservation Commission completed the Morris Park Survey Plan and pre-1920 Historic Property Reconnaissance Survey to identify potentially significant Lakewood historic resources. Additionally, an exciting milestone occurred this summer with the opening of the Iber Village. This site is a locally designated landmark that was formerly the Hospice of St. John's and now has been redeveloped as an affordable senior housing project. A free virtual workshop series called Safer and Sustainable at Home was offered this year. These community-led workshops feature do-it-yourself home sustainability projects, opportunities for improving neighborhood resiliency, education on existing sustainability programs, and a chance to hear from experts on sustainability best practices. The pandemic has impacted daily life in many ways, and fitness is one of them. To ensure Lakewood citizens could stay active while being safe, modifications were made to fitness and recreational programming. Due to the public stay-at-home order that began in March, a variety of programs shifted to a virtual format. To continue to provide support to the older adult populations during the pandemic, adjustments in programming and services were implemented. Lakewood Rides implemented strict health code guidelines to ensure the safety of riders and staff. And with the temporary closure of the dining site at the Clements Center, meals have been delivered to Lakewood residents upon request through Lakewood Rides. New public art is adding to visitors' experiences on the 40 West Art Line this year. They include Wild Urban Medicine. The top picture in the slide is a series of wall murals by Katie Casper painted on apartment complex located on the art line at 1450 Lamar. The bottom picture is Wheat Paste Mural by Charlotte Basin. This is located on the wall of Columbine paper facing the Lamar Light Rail Station. In addition, 3 new ground murals will be painted in September. New partnerships have also formed this year to support the vitality of the art line. In July, the route extended to the Edgewater Civic Center and Library in Walker Branch Park. And in August, the City of Lakewood and 40 West Arts received a highly competitive grant from AARP. The grant will fund artists this fall to lead socially distanced community art activations. This includes a project called Joy Bomb, which is an immersive art experience shown on the slide, and Paint by Number artworks that will be painted by seniors and families living in 2 Metro West housing communities on the art line and installed by 40 West artists on a prominent art line fence. Through the Alameda Streetscape project, Alameda Avenue now has become a place that is welcoming for pedestrians, bicyclists, and drivers. The project included a multi-use sidewalk, pedestrian scale lighting, strategic landscaping, art installations, and wayfinding signage. The last project featured this year is the Lasley Park Storybook Art Bollards. They were completed this year by a local mosaic public artist. Her 3 playful designs feature images and titles of popular and culturally important children's literature. To wrap up, the important takeaway is that all of these projects and programs tie directly back into the vision. When it was adopted, the Lakewood Comprehensive Plan looked 10 years into the future. Implementation needs to be flexible to adapt to changing economic conditions, demographic changes, development pressures, and other factors. The current unanticipated COVID-19 pandemic is an example of that. However, the vision and guiding principles remain as guideposts in moving forward with implementation. Even during 2020, an unprecedented year, Lakewood continues to be a livable, mobile, innovative, and sustainable community.
That's the end of the presentation.
All right, very good. Christy, thank you. And thank you for working out the technical details there.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate that. And please express my thanks as well to Mr. Wadnell for his part in the presentation. I was going to open it now to Commissioner questions. I see Teresa has a hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say nice job. Just really nice job. The things that you guys got done and quantifying those action items or those action steps. Wow. Just wow. And the fact that your pie chart, you've made so much progress. So I just want to say, just great job, you guys. Just nice job. And thanks for filling us in.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Dale, I believe you're next.
Thank you. And thank you, Christy. And that was very good. I love seeing and reviewing the comprehensive plan. I think that Johan and I believe Alex also was on the commission at the time that plan was updated and approved. And I still think it's an excellent plan. I'm a bicyclist, and so I'm always advocating for bicycles. And I know I did even when we were revising that plan. And so I have a question for you that may, I know this is a kind of question potentially that the city council could offer. Maybe I should be asking them, but I'm going to throw it to you as a softball question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but the portion of the plan that addresses mobility, in particular with regard to bicycles and connectivity and creating more bicycle paths and that sort of thing, my sense is that it's not as developed as some other parts of the plan or as far along. And something just came to my mind recently, or not to my mind, I shouldn't say to my. I observed it, and that was the repaving of Jewel Avenue, where from C470 along Alameda and then where it becomes Jewel or connects with Jewel, there were new bike lanes painted all over the last year, I would say. And Jewel Avenue was just repaved and just restriped, but they didn't continue those same bike paths. So there is this this sort of no man's land between Kipling and where the north-south bike path is, which would be Garrison, where there really isn't a bike path on the street, but it was just striped. There's, it's the same width of roadway as parts of Jewel that are farther west. And I'm just curious, why was that not striped with to include a new bike path? A lane, I should say, on the roadway, as it was, farther to the west. Do you know why?
I do not know why. I can find out from someone in transportation.
Okay.
I don't
That
know.
would be great.
Do you
Yeah,
have any thoughts on that?
I would appreciate that, and drawing it to someone's attention. It could have been an oversight. I don't know, but it seems like a missed opportunity right then.
Commissioner Miller, it may have actually been roadway width. Christy and I will look into it for you from traffic. The road may actually look the same width, but there's actually a dimension in there. It could have been just a couple of feet, and even a couple of feet would have prohibited, and when I say a couple of feet, one on each side of the road, or maybe 2 feet on each side of the road, would have prohibited the right-of-way width to allow for the lane. And I'm thinking the piece between Kipling and Garrison is a little older and maybe a little narrower. And again, it may not be visually perceptive, but it's a dimension that they have to have for safety standards as well. But Christy and I will look into that for you, and we'll, if you're okay with it, we can get you a response back via email to the whole body, so the whole commission.
That's fine with me. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I asked, like I said, not to put you all on the spot so much as to keep it in the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Johan, I believe you have a hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to, here's the original Lakewood 2025, and it is available online. I want to know, though, whether present planning commission members have copies, hard copies, or want them, and do you have copies now?
I have a copy.
Okay.
I have an electronic copy, which will work just fine for me.
Fine. That may be fine for most of you. It's got a big, long implementation list in it. And I recall distinctly that we did not foresee any COVID-19 issues at the time we put it together.
Yeah. And I think that begs for another acknowledgement of the things that staff has done to address some of the challenges that COVID-19 put on implementing the plan. I really appreciate all the thought and the effort that's gone into that. So Dale, did you have a following question?
I did. I actually wanted to compliment all of the authors of the plan, because it does include a comment, and this is from more than 5 years ago, about social equity. I think it's very appropriate, more so now than we even at the time, but it was foresightful and certainly is still relevant. So thanks to everyone for that.
All right. Thank you, Dale. I think I've got some questions, and I think these questions are for Paul, really. They're process questions about the steps going forward leading up to the new plan. You answered my question last time about, where the commission plays the role in terms of the final product. But what I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about how the timeline works, when resident representatives are chosen and business representatives are established that are official component of input into the plan. Is there kind of a timetable that would be general, I guess, at this stage of the game, that you can sort of help me understand the progression of events?
And is the question related to updating the plan?
To the update, yeah.
Okay. So, and I will have Christy chime in, or I will defer to Roger. I think as Roger stated in the first part of the presentation, it's a 10-year plan. So it was adopted in 2015. It looks out into 2025. We're halfway through that plan. It's kind of approached as kind of a living document. So it's not something that you adopt. Let me step back a little bit. In some other jurisdictions I've worked in, that plan is actually a 20-year plan. So you adopt it, put it on the shelf, and 20 years later you brush it off and come back out and see what you need it for. That's not the intent of the Lakewood plan. They've actually built in, which is what we're doing this evening, updates, annual updates. So they were committed. I think they've intentionally shrunk the duration of the plan too, so that it stays more of a current and kind of living document. So we're halfway through the lifespan of the plan. Roger's probably going to start talking to his staff and figuring about when that plan update is going to occur. I don't know if they're going to wait until the end of the 10 years, do some type of analysis at year 7, 8, 9 to see how much they need to open the plan back up. That's more of a question for Roger. But there is the intent. That's why we come back to council and give them updates every year on status of the plan. So it's coming. Christy, do you have a better time frame answer for Chairperson Heald than kind of my general answer? We can get a response back from Roger on that one as well. It's coming. I just don't. It could be yet a couple years out.
Okay, that really helps me. Christy, if you can add any more detail, it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Paul said, it's probably about a couple more years before we open it back up for another plan.
Okay, good. That's very helpful. I just want to be sure I'm really understanding the timeline and how the input works. Can you talk at all, Christy or Paul, about how it is that the what are they called, resident representatives are incorporated into the process and how you select them?
Right. So as so Roger will work with his group to come up with a work plan. And of course, early on in that process, they will come to the Planning Commission. You're the body responsible for that particular plan and making, I think it's a recommendation to council on that plan. And representatives, we'll give some suggestions. Typically, we start with the established groups, the representatives from the business associations, the neighborhood organizations, and offer meetings. So if any of those groups want staff or the Planning Commission to attend, I should have Commissioner Miller or Cohen talk to it a little bit. But we start with the established groups, and if that notice is not getting to or bringing in the input and the participation that we'd like to see, we've expanded beyond that. But it's typical, starting with the established process. We have not mailed notice to every individual household in Lakewood, I don't think on the last plan, but they did target specific areas. So that I'm kind of mumbling and stumbling here because the commission has some input on participation in the plan.
Good. That's kind of what I was trying to define a little bit further, is how do we help with this process? And if there is a defined process, I'm sure that as we get closer, like Christy said, you'll bring us in. Just want to be sure we're aware that that's what we'll be doing.
Right.
Dale and Alex and Johan may have firsthand experience with that, so maybe they can educate us too.
Right.
Okay, thank you. That I think pretty well covered my question. Thank you very much. Alex, I see a hand.
Yeah, it may be entirely unrelated, but I think the last population land use report for the city was 2013, and that report relied on the 2010 census. And so my question is whether or not, updated data from the 2020 census may find its way into a similar report or somehow into a comprehensive plan update during an annual update for that plan, or if they're entirely separate processes and not related at all. Just kind of curious on maybe the way those two plans might be cohesive, or maybe they're not.
Have you been here long enough, Christy, to do the land use update in the comp plan?
No.
So I'll take a stab at that, Commissioner Bartlett. So they typically are independent. And when we do update that land use report, and it's a standalone document, and I believe it focuses more on kind of vacant properties in the city of Lakewood and so forth. And I would again defer to Roger, who's comprehensive planning, who's responsible for that report. I think lack of staff has kind of pushed that off on the priority list, or they would have already updated that document. The last planner that updated that document, his name was Rob Smetana, and he's moved on. And Holly Boehm also has moved on, and she was not replaced. So Christy, there's one of her instead of two of her now working for Roger. So I think that's just something that's been delayed, because typically we do update that report every time we get new census data.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess my suggestion would be if there's ability within staff's capacity to do so, to take pieces or relative portions of that old plan that could be updated with new data to find its way into the comprehensive plan. If it does influence things that are in the update, the annual updates, that might be useful. If not, then it's not. I just thought I'd ask. I was curious if those two plans spoke with one another or not, but that helps to answer that question. Thanks.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Alex. Any more questions? I see a hand up, Kathy. You're muted.
I know, sorry, I couldn't find the electronic hand up there. I had a question, Christy, about, or maybe Mr. Rice, about the implementation plans. Are those considered also kind of part of our comprehensive plan?
Yeah, so all the implementation plans were folded into the comprehensive plan when it was adopted.
So currently I keep hearing and getting emails that the West Colfax 2040 plan is that there's a group that is working on presenting some proposed changes. And I'm wondering when we might, I was a little surprised about that because I thought the council's, direction had been more to concentrate on the Union Corridor, but I'm wondering when we might be hearing what's going on with that and be, that group. And then I suppose once it comes to us, we have to have, maybe talk about the process there.
I'm not too involved in that project or that process. Roger might be the best person to answer that.
And Commissioner Kettner, and I don't know if I've heard about that corridor and that plan by the group from a meeting that I was at or in discussion with Roger. I do know there is some talk in the works about updating along that corridor. I do not believe it's on any work plan for comprehensive planning at this time.
Yeah, you already mentioned that, and that's sort of why I brought it up, because I think that there's a community group that's working hard on it and really wants to get in there, and I don't, maybe somebody should reach out. I don't want it to
right.
Be
and it may be Roger
for anybody.
Right, and Roger may be better able to answer that, as he attends a lot of the West Colfax Community Association meetings and the bid meetings and so forth. So
ultimately, that would be something that would be a planning commission thing because it's part of the comp plan.
Right. If it becomes an action item or a work item, yes, it would come to the planning commission.
Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Johan, I see you have a question.
Whoops. Yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know whether this doesn't answer Mrs. Kettner's question altogether, but there are there's a business improvement district that includes a part of Colfax. I think it goes as far west as Carr. And then it's also part of, I'll call it an urban renewal. I think the term that's used in Lakewood is a refunding district that takes it in. And then on top of that, there's neighborhood association that's pretty strong to the east. So, you know, we've got quite a few things going there.
Yeah,
I
it's the
don't
West
know.
Colfax Community Association and the bid that's
Right.
put a group together of them and some neighbors, and they're evidently working on updating the Colfax plan. But then that's why I was wondering, since ultimately that is a
I don't know that they've reported anything out. I haven't seen anything.
I can forward to everybody their kind of plan that I had gotten, if you're interested.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And
They have a time frame. I should say plan.
all right, thank you. Are you complete, Johan? Didn't mean to jump into your screen there. Okay, I like the idea of forwarding that information. I appreciate, Paul, your explanation of how that works. You know, there's a number of different groups, and I guess it stands to reason that groups may reach out to planning whenever it's appropriate for them. If you know, if they're in an update mode or they want to make a proposal, but until it becomes a work plan item for the comprehensive planning department, then there's no real official city participation in anything that we need to be aware of. So, I mean, that's what I took away from your comments, and I really appreciate the clarification, because it seemed like a bit of an unclear path as to how an organization would connect with the planning department and us to be a part of that process. But you answered my question. Thank you. Are there any further questions? I don't see any additional hands up at this point in time. So I will close item A, the comprehensive plan update. And I'd like to open item B, Planning Commission rules and regulations, with a motion that we continue this to October 7th, since it is a late hour, and I appreciate everybody's time. I think since we've already got a meeting scheduled then on the 7th, we simply follow the format we had for this meeting. Could I get a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Very good. Got a couple seconds from Commissioner Bartlett and Commissioner Miller. So any comments? Shall we just go for a roll call vote, Mr. Schultz?
As a study session, that could likely be by consensus.
Oh, thank you very much for clarification. I get into the formality. So I think just show of hands on the screen if you're on board with continuing the Planning Commission rules and regs update to October 7th. I think we have a unanimous show of hands. So with that, that will conclude item B for tonight. Is there anything under general business that anybody would like to raise?
Staff does not have anything to add at this time. We don't have anything, I think, in the foreseeable future on either the Board of Adjustment or Planning Commission calendar that we're not talking about this evening, the continuation of White Fence Farm and the rules and regs. So we'll continue to keep you posted if there's something that'll be headed your way.
Thank you very much. We always appreciate whatever notice is available on those, so we can plan to be there. Very good. Kathy, I see a hand up.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sorry, I lost my sound there for a minute, and now I lost my thought.
I can relate. Shall we come back to you? Any other hands, ideas? Seeing none. Are you okay with adjournment, Kathy? Okay, I'll disregard the hand, and we will consider this study session adjourned at 10:08 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great one. Mhm. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.